so many Americans have seen Donald Trump be president, and now they've seen the country without Donald Trump as president, and they want to go back to the years of 2017, 2018, 2019. Our country was significantly better on every metric. Our economy was better. Everybody was getting ahead. It is not the case today.
Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida. That was from day before yesterday on Fox News Sunday. He's a good man, a good guy, a good congressman. The Democrats, they're a lynch mob and a gang of violent criminal liars. You know, other than that, very nice people, I'm sure. Yes, sir. I'm sorry to have to report that the Democrats have turned the trial in New York into a bigger circus. And I think what they're doing out there is jury tampering. Again, it's more jury tampering. They brought Robert DeNiro, who used to be an actor. He played dress up and make believe for a long time. And Martin Scorsese still throws him a bone every now and then, even though he's kind of a sad New York person. But Robert De Niro out in front of the courthouse with the Biden campaign, because the Hollywood elites, you know, the Hollywood frou-frous, the gang, and with Michael Tyler, the communications director for the Biden campaign, in front of the courthouse, lying. Oh, we're not here because of what's going on in the courthouse. He lied. We're here because you're here, the media. Now, half true. That part is half true. And the closing arguments allegedly taking place today inside the courthouse. I got to tell you, I communicate with people. It's what I do. I'm in the communications business. And I don't want to use names because I haven't been cleared to use names, but let me say a now former prosecutor, well known in the Washington area, and a woman, a very bright woman that I know, and she's talking about the jury, what's going to happen with the Trump trial, because there are so many moving parts, aren't there, in the Trump trial, because they've made up so many things. 34 counts he's facing. 34 counts. Falsification of business records, see? And there are a lot of possible variations on what could happen here with 34 counts and with a jury of 12 plus alternates. And one of the possibilities is that the jury acquits him on all 34 counts, right? One of the possibilities, I think an extremely remote possibility, is that the jury finds him guilty on 34 counts. And then he would go to prison for 650 years, and we'd become a gulag country, and the Soviet Union would scoff at us, say, see, I told you we'd win in the end. You know, that'd be a great victory for the Soviet Union. Or you could have, and again, it's a jury system, so if one member of the jury refuses to convict on one count, then there is no conviction on that count. So what are the possibilities here? And we're thinking, at least the discussion in our corrupt media, is that we could even have the verdicts by the end of the business week this week, even though this week started on Tuesday. And so you could have acquittal on all counts. You could have conviction on all counts. You could have conviction on some counts and acquittal on other counts. And then there is one wild card possibility that seems extremely remote. I hope that it is. And that's Judge Juan Merchan, who is a Joe Biden donor, a literal donor to the Joe Biden campaign. What they call a directed verdict, in which case Judge Merchan could remove the jury from the equation entirely and just decide on his own. Now, that would be the equivalent of firing on Fort Sumter. And I'd like to think that he's not that corrupt, that filthy, because everyone in America would be in grave danger if that's what he decided to do. So let's hope that he doesn't do that. Now, my friend, a now former prosecutor, well known in the Washington area, whose name I'm not using because I haven't been given authority to do that. And I always ask for a specific permission if I'm going to do that. But the Trump jury, she says that Trump jury is going to be, and it's a good phrase, I think, in this context, all things to all people, right? Now, she's saying, I think they'll convict, find him guilty on some counts, 34 counts, acquit on other counts of the 34 counts, and that the jury will be a hung jury on yet other counts, right? And that makes a lot of sense to me, actually. Some of the more minor things, the jury might, and some, the lefties on the jury will try to shame the common sense people on the jury into convicting on, you got to convict on something, right? And the Democrats, we know they've already got a plan in place. The Democrats and the Biden people already have a plan in place where they're planning on having Joe Biden give a speech after the jury announcement. And from the White House, they're going to make it look very presidential. And Joe Biden will address the nation with a bunch of political hooey and dress it up as something other than political hooey. But it will be nothing but political hooey. And Joe Biden, who's the most terrible president, certainly since electricity, is going to politicize the heck out of it, as they already have, as Judge Juan Merchan has, as now the special counsel Jack Smith is calling on the judge in his case to classified documents to impose another gag order on President Trump, which is un-American at a bare minimum, if not unconstitutional. But if you're going to convict on some charges, acquit on other charges, and have a hung jury on yet other charges, because there are so many charges, dozens of charges, 34 charges, that all makes perfect sense. And all the Democrats want, the Biden Democrat media machine, the propaganda apparatus, and so on, that Joe Biden, they already have a team in place. They have teams, the left always does, to build gulags and things. They've already got a team in place, and they're planning on immediately taking to social media and declaring Trump to be a convicted felon. Because if they can get the jury to convict on one count, and that's all it takes, one count if it's a felony, and also they took these misdemeanor counts and corruptly elevated them, artificially elevated them to felony counts, even though nobody's ever been tried as for felonies for the charges that he's accused of. But never mind that. The White House has already got their plan in place, and they're planning on declaring him to be a convicted felon, right? And you can't have a convicted felon as president, and then they'll just define him as a convicted felon if even one count is a felony, and they get the jury to convict on one of the 34 counts. Then Joe Biden will come out, ignore the other 33 counts. If let's just say he's found not guilty on 33 counts by the jury, found guilty on one count, and it's a felony. That's good enough for the propaganda apparatus of the Democrat Party and their media tongue bath boys. They will declare Trump to be a convicted felon, and it will be true enough because he will have been convicted of a felony in this railroad operation that they've got going in New York, the phony trials and so on. So the apparatus is already in place. Joe Biden will address the nation on the verdict in New York the moment it comes out, or shortly after it comes out. They'll try to make it prime time. It'll look very presidential. It's going to be in a White House setting, going to make it appear that the statement is not political, but of course it's going to be nothing but political. We covered this story on my Newsmax show last night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Chris Plant and the Right Squad on Newsmax TV, Monday through Friday, every night. And going to make the argument that Trump is ill-suited for office, you see, and they got a campaign already in place that will use social media and their friends in the news media to paint Trump as a convicted felon as soon as all of that happens, right? Because that's their plan. It's already in place. They have 34 charges. And the judge, Juan Merchan, a Biden boy, is already kind of hinting that the jury instructions are going to be very important, very important. And Judge Merchan, Biden donor, Biden supporter, whose daughter is a big Democrat fundraiser, been raising tens of millions of dollars on mailings based on the fact that her father is the judge in the trial. Honestly, we're a third world banana republic at this point with a more or less first world economy. But this is the plan that they've already got in place. And the media is key to this whole plan. It's good to be a Democrat because the media has got their back all the time. So that's their plan. And again, the likelihood with 34 counts that they'll get the jury to agree on one count. Now, will that be a felony? Will it be a misdemeanor? Will it be something called a felony that should be and would ordinarily be charged and tried as a misdemeanor? Remarkable times, very dangerous times that we're in. And DeNiro and the Democrats are out there, Robert DeNiro and an actor, and the Democrats used to be a good one, are out there, not anymore, not for a long time, saying, oh yeah, crime was sky high under Trump. It is true that crime spiked during the shutdowns of the Wuhan Red Death out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China, which they lied to us about and lied to us about and lied. Many of them are still lying to us about it. It's true that crime spiked during the Wuhan and that there have been declines in the crime since the Wuhan spike, the Wuhan peak. And the reason there was a peak is because schools were shut down, businesses and offices were shut down, millions of jobs disappeared, and out of desperation and idle hands being the devil's workshop and all that, crime did spike for a period of time during the Wuhan Red Death, right? And if you don't have a Wuhan Red Death t-shirt or coffee mug, it's not too late to get one at the Chris Plant store. I survived the Wuhan Red Death with a bat on there and all kinds of good stuff. So we got that. But what we should expect and what we can predict is that they will convict on something. They will acquit on more, and there will be a hung jury on some of. When you got 34 counts and you got a New York, Manhattan jury, that is all very probable. I don't think you have to be Nostradamus, but it's good thinking. The Democrat Party, they're not liberals, honestly. And of course, to convict on anything, you've got to have a unanimous jury on that count. And I'm hoping that they won't have a conviction. I think the most likely with the Manhattan jury is they might get 1 out of 34. That's why they piled on all these charges, right? That's why they upgraded the misdemeanors to felonies for political reasons. And they're hoping that this will bear fruit. While Jack Smith, in another trumped-up case against President Trump, ginned-up case against President Trump, is demanding that the judge impose a gag order on President Trump in the usual un-American way, so he can't talk about that in public either while he's running for president. This is an extremely corrupt country that we're living in right now. I'm sorry to have to report. Here's a sobering headline. New estimates report that more than 1 million babies were killed by abortion in 2023. But wait, I thought it was going to be impossible to get abortion after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. But hang on, it's the highest number of abortions since 2012. But that doesn't make any sense. We have to fight back against this evil. When they shout abortion, we shout life. How do we do that? Well, we join hands with Preborn. Preborn is one of the largest organizations in the country that sponsors ultrasounds for clinics in the highest abortion areas. When a mother considering abortion sees her baby on an ultrasound and hears the heartbeat, it could double the baby's chance at living a long, happy, and prosperous life. Every day, Preborn helps rescue 200 unborn babies' lives, which is truly miraculous all by itself. But by the time I finish reading this ad, 2 unborn babies will have been taken by this tragedy, by abortion. $28 could be the difference between life and death for a little baby, a helpless little baby. If you have the means, would you please consider a leadership gift to save unborn babies in a really big way? Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 will sponsor Preborn's entire network nationwide for 24 hours, helping to rescue 200 unborn babies. And it's tax-deductible, right? To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250, and when prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, and the keyword is baby, or you can go online and donate securely at preborn.com. Any amount will do. Preborn.com/plant. That's me. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. Crazy times we're in. Just getting crazier because of the Democrat Party. Oh, it's the end of democracy. You do know that he was already president for 4 years, right? You do know that you guys rioted in and burned dozens of cities, murdered dozens of people, injured thousands of cops, billions in property damage. And none of that happened on January 6th, when you guys shot and killed Ashley Babbitt for the alleged crime of trespassing. Just saying. All right, well, hooray for Hollywood. Everything the Democrats do is show business, and our entire political system is a terrible cable television show, and this is no exception. And the Democrats know they whipped out Robert DeNiro and this guy, Michael Fanone, the activist U.S. Capitol Police officer who has been a favorite of MSDNC. In fact, he walked right over to the MSDNC cameras. What about the thousands of police that the Democrats injured in the hundreds of riots? The 160 to 180 police officers injured outside the White House, which Robert DeNiro mocked in his comments there. Oh, yeah, the president's such a coward, he had to be evacuated by the Secret Service.
Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave.
Yeah. Because the left, famous protectors and defenders of freedoms worldwide. And wasn't it the Obama-Biden administration that used the IRS against their political enemies and targeted their political enemies? And then the intelligence community was used against the American people in that felonious 51 letter, the disinformation campaign against the American people. And wait a minute, the FBI and the Justice Department jailing the political enemies of the Democrat Party, just like in the Soviet Union. There have been more comparisons to the Soviet Union in the United States of America in the last few years since Joe Biden and the Democrats, and really Barack Obama and James Comey. And James Comey targeted President Trump when he was President-elect Trump in 2016 and lied to him, misrepresented the dossier, pretended that what he wrote in the FBI laptop in the back of the armored FBI vehicle on the way to the FBI jet was his personal diary. Remember that? Targeting, what were their names having sex in the Xerox room at the FBI that were, Yeah, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, that you can smell the Trump supporters in here, and they targeted Trump supporters at the FBI and the Justice Department. Anybody in the news media remember any of this? I'm just curious about that. And, of course, the FBI and now the courts being used against the political enemies of the Democrat Party, ginning up charges, 34 charges in New York for a non-disclosure agreement into which every single network covering the story has compelled women to accept and to sign on to. Isn't that remarkable? Yeah, that's it. And now they've got Robert DeNiro out there, who was never famous for being a very smart person. He was a good actor a long time ago, but Robert De Niro saying Donald Trump wants to destroy New York. He grew up in Queens, and he's built skyscrapers all over New York. I think he wants New York to be prosperous and to stay in great shape, but it's self-interest on his part. See Ayn Rand. Remarkable things. He wants to destroy New York. Now, I think he's a Rudy Giuliani guy, and Rudy Giuliani saved New York from you people.
Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country, and eventually he could destroy the world.
He could destroy the world. He was president for 4 years. We were extremely prosperous. We lived in a time of peace. It was wonderful. But they've got Robert the dimwit De Niro out there. And by the way, they're outside the courthouse. And does this not prove irrefutably that the Democrat Party is politicizing the legal action? Won't this be grounds for appeal all by itself, this press conference that they had with the communications director for the Biden presidential campaign, and then bringing in Hollywood A-listers, Hollywood bigwigs, Hollywood, to spread absurdities like Donald Trump will destroy the world. He was already president for 4 years. Anybody remember that? Do your brains work at all? Do you all have Joe Biden brains, Joe Biden memories? Isn't that extraordinary? Now, there was kind of a funny moment. De Niro was at the microphones, and a New Yorker came up and decided to ask De Niro a question or two. And the spokesmodel, Michael Tyler, the communications director, communications chief for the Biden campaign, was standing there. And he wanted to put a question or two to De Niro and to Michael Tyler of the Biden campaign. And again, if this isn't proof positive, the campaign, the Biden presidential campaign, is out there with like TV commercial spokesmen in the form of Robert De Niro, the actor, and 2 police officers from the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, where only Ashley Babbitt was killed, shot and killed mercilessly by a U.S. Capitol police officer. And that is a police shooting that the Democrat Party is all in favor of. An unarmed woman accused of an alleged crime of trespassing, shot and killed execution style and she was a white woman, by an African-American police officer, Lieutenant Byrd. And the news media and the Democrats, but I repeat myself, applauded. Yay, kill more trespassers, shoot to kill. But what about George Floyd and Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot, which never happened, and all that good stuff. But a passerby walked up and had a couple of questions for them. They, of course, didn't answer. They were good questions, better questions than any of the news media will ask.
Do you consider Trump a threat to all these wars Biden has gotten us into? Any media questions? Is this a weaponization of the Justice Department, sir? Any media questions? You won't answer the real questions, only the fake news?
A man walked up. Did you hear him there? Oh, you won't answer the real questions, just the fake media questions. A man walked up and said, is Donald Trump a threat to all the wars Biden has gotten us into?
Do you consider Trump a threat to all these wars Biden has gotten us into?
Is President Trump a threat to all these wars Biden has gotten us into? And the spokesmodel for the Biden campaign, who is in front of the Trump courthouse politicizing, I think the Trump people should use this in TV commercials to show how politicized this kangaroo court is and has been. And then the passerby had one more question. Is Donald Trump a threat to all the wars that Joe Biden has gotten us into? And a second question that they also declined to answer.
The weaponization of the Justice Department, sir?
Is this and he's very polite and professional and articulate. He's articulate and he's bright and he's clean. And he asked, is Donald Trump a threat to all the wars Joe Biden has gotten us into? And is this a weaponization or the weaponization of the Justice Department? And then the clown, racist Michael Tyler from the Biden campaign says, are there any questions from the real media? He knows that the real media would never ask those questions because they're there to give him a naked tongue bath. That's why they are there. That's why the fake media is there. But this passerby, who sounded like a very intelligent person with a couple of serious questions, is Donald Trump a threat to all the wars Joe Biden has gotten us into? And is this the weaponization of the Department of Justice? And of course, they're not taking those questions. And one of the U.S. Capitol Police who was brought up there for this staged, politicized event just proved what a political actor this U.S. Capitol Police officer is, right? And that's Michael Fanone. And Michael Fanone, who has become very, very political. And he's okay with the 3-day siege of the White House when Donald Trump was in the White House. He doesn't have anything to say about the 160 to 180 police officers injured the siege in the White House, forcing the evacuation of the president and the first family by the Secret Service to the underground bunker that was built for nuclear attack. But the left was attacking the White House. The White House hadn't seen anything like that literally since 1814, not the 1960s, not any time in between. The War of 1812 and the sacking of Washington in 1814 is the last time they saw that. Unbelievable. But yeah, Michael Fanone is out there because he's hanging with Robert DeNiro, you know? And he's like, oh yeah, January 6th, real bad. How about the torching of the Church of the Presidents? Did anybody set fire to the Capitol that day? No. There were a couple of broken windows, and there were skirmishes with police, and that should be frowned upon and should be treated appropriately. Pretty amazing, amazing stuff. Man. Well, yeah, this Michael Fanone, Capitol Police, I don't want to give him any, but he walked over to the MSNBC cameras to show what kind of a law enforcement official he is.
Robert DeNiro lending his celebrity and his voice to this cause. That being said, you know, I think that it's
that being said,
disheartening to know that that's what it takes 3.5 years after an insurrection at the Capitol in which hundreds of police officers were brutalized and our democracy was threatened to get the media's attention.
Hundreds of police officers were brutalized and our democracy was threatened. Insurrectionists. He's got the Democrat talking points down. He's going to get his own show on MSNBC before this is over. And this is, we're in a horrible place as a country. We truly are. Hey, Michael Fanone, how about the 3-day siege of the White House? Not 2 hours at the Capitol. The president said to go down peacefully and patriotically. Let your voices be heard. Just amazing. Amazing stuff. We haven't gone to a phone call in a long, long time. I should go to a phone call because, you know, long time. Let's go to Ron calling from Northwest Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Ron, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Welcome.
The reason why Robert De Niro is doing this is because he's irrelevant. Nobody knows him anymore. And he wants to build his reputation to get notoriety by criticizing Donald Trump. I don't know if you know who Snoop Dogg is.
Sure.
The rapper.
Sure.
He started criticizing Donald Trump. And next thing you know, he's on the poster in D.C.'s subways. He's getting commercials. His only claim to fame was Tupac. When Tupac died, his star went out. That's the only reason why he's doing this now. He's not really that good of an actor. You're giving him more credit than he deserves. And he thinks he's the character that he was in Raging Bull. That's why he's talking all the smack about Donald Trump. He is just one of these people who's trying to get relevant. Same thing with Kathy Griffin. Nobody thinks about her until she did that skit where she did that fake cut-off head thing.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, Trump's got a Trump-severed head, with blood dripping from it. And, yeah, that's right. And they stabbed Donald Trump character to death in Central Park. There's Shakespeare in the park doing Julius Caesar, and the Julius Caesar looked just like Donald Trump. And Snoop Dogg, yeah. Snoop, we always followed Snoop. We were disappointed recently. He had to fire his official joint roller. Do you remember that? Did you follow that?
No, I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, he had to follow his joint roller. He had a full-time joint roller, that just a woman that followed him around and rolled joints for him all day long. And she had to find other work because Snoop Dogg, she said she rolled more than 500,000 joints for Snoop Dogg. And Snoop, he's popular with the Democrat Party because they're panderers, right?
Yes.
And that's pretty much all there is to that. It's for them, everything is a race thing, isn't it?
But you see, the thing about it and stuff, he's trying to capitalize on the situation. If Donald Trump wasn't going through this fake trial thing, because what he's doing right now is the equivalent of spitting on the side of the sidewalk.
Yeah, yeah.
They can't go after Donald Trump because of the Mar-a-Lago thing. Because if they go after him for that, then they have to go after Joe Biden. They have to go after Pence as well, because Pence is accused of the same thing.
Yeah,
and Pence seemed to drop off the map. As you notice, he turned against Donald Trump, and now all of a sudden everything's been quiet about what he did, and he did the same thing.
Yeah, that's a good point too. That is a good point too.
When I used to listen to your show, you're the reason why I changed my opinion years ago.
Is that right?
And your show, I used to listen to black stations, and they used to criticize Rush Limbaugh. And the way they have Rush Limbaugh, they have black people thinking that he's racist, he's a Klansman, and all sort of stuff. And this show used to be a rock station, and it became your station.
Right.
And I gave you a chance, and I started listening to you, and I says, wait a minute, this guy's making sense. And I'm looking at the world the way it really is, and I stopped listening to regular media, start listening to you. And then I carried over on your show to Rush and started listening to Rush. And after listening to Rush for 1 month, my opinion totally changed. And I started listening to Rush, and Rush started making sense. And I looked at what was actually happening, the prices in the grocery stores and all that sort of stuff. Everything that you said was true. Yeah. Everything the regular media was telling me, oh, everything's okay. Well, then why am I broke?
Yeah. I'm crazy for the truth, Ron. I used to be a regular news guy at CNN for a whole lot of years. I'm doing my show on Newsmax Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Get a little plug in for the show. But I'm crazy about things that are true. And I don't, look, Republicans aren't the greatest thing in the world, and they're not the answer to every problem. But they're held to account in ways that the Democrats are not. And both parties are supposed to be held to account. And I'm just all about the truth, my friend. I mean, that sounds canned, but it's not. I was raised this way, and I can't shake it. I just like the truth more than anything.
Well, Chris, I met you at the Fisher House before the pandemic.
No kidding.
And I was at Pentagon City up on the high level watching the show, and I had a little AM/FM and radio listening to you. And something told me to come down there to see you and see what you're about.
Yeah.
You shook my hand, and I told you I was a vet, and I donated what I could. I was a homeless vet at the time.
Now I remember you. I remember this. Yes.
And you were so nice and stuff, and I told you I was a homeless vet staying at U.S. Vets, and you offered to buy me something to eat. And I was like, wow. I said, this guy is really what he is on the radio. And I told you, I said, no, they're feeding me. I'm fine, and I appreciate the thought. And I said, this guy's real. I had a chance when I was in the Navy to meet Muhammad Ali in Portsmouth back in the 80s. And I decided not to go see him because I said, this guy's not going to know me from anybody else. He's going to forget me as soon as I leave. And I thought to myself, I don't feel no regrets over that. But I was so glad that I met you.
Wow,
because
come on.
You are real.
Man, Muhammad Ali, I would have gone on. I grew up in a huge Muhammad Ali fan, but Ron, Michael is starting to play the music, and that means that I've run out the clock again. But
I just wanted everybody to know that you're the real deal.
Well, God bless you,
you're
Ron.
The real deal.
And you're in Northwest D.C. now, huh?
Yes, sir. After being homeless for a long time and stuff, But I've gone by WMAL a couple of days to pay my bill and stuff, and I saw WMAL, and thank God that that's the only good thing about DC is your station.
Wow, you are wonderful. I am saluting you, Ron. I am saluting you. God bless you, and thank you for calling in. That is, I look forward to running into you again, I'll pick up the tab then too. Thank you, Ron. God bless you. Kind of a fascinating little aside. The press conference outside the courthouse was carried by Newsmax Live, carried by Fox News Live, but not by CNN or MSDNC. Then they walked over to their cameras. They were in a different place. I think they're not covering that. Also, some breaking news. They announced this morning that a book will be coming out, authored by London Roberts. Do you know who is London Roberts? London Roberts is the picture over here on the cover, a very beautiful woman who was the exotic dancer that gave birth to Hunter Biden's love child. And we just got a Christmas stocking for her today. Her name is Navy Joan Roberts. And the cover of the book has the book is Out of the Shadows, My Life Inside the Wild World of Hunter Biden by London Roberts, and a picture of her with her little daughter, a beautiful daughter. And the book is coming out on the Tuesday of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Excellent, excellent marketing.